Hey, Pete Ward here. Pete Ward here from Pete Ward TV on the Pete Ward Show, brought to you by Business and Beyond. Welcome to today's broadcast, coming to you live. I'm going out on multiple places, going out on LinkedIn today, YouTube and Facebook on my Facebook page, Pete Ward TV. Nice to see you. We're going out on Business and Beyond on the YouTube channel. So that's really good. So that's where I run all my podcasts through. Business and Beyond. It's all about a business growth pathway, which I'm putting together, which is really very exciting. And it includes podcasting and live streams and TV shows and education and all sorts of things. So I am Pete Ward. I love all of those things, and I love doing what I'm doing here today on my podcast, talking to you about things. Today in my heading, you will see that I'm talking about strategy, tactics, and operations. What is the difference? How does it all work? And why you should know the difference and how to actually implement the three different things. Because a lot of people talk about strategy. Let's get this out of the way. A lot of people talk about strategy. A lot of marketing coaches, a lot of marketing-y people, okay, talk about strategy, and half the time they're actually really meaning what the next level down is, which is your tactics of how to actually execute the strategy. So what I want to do is explain the difference and show you why and what I think about it. And then obviously then you get down into operations, which is where the actual execution happens, which is, where the rubber hits the road and you actually get things done. But to get all the way down there, you really need to look at those other two levels first. So now the way I like to do it, and I am going to go over to my trusty pen, and I'm going to go to my trusty whiteboard. Poor man's whiteboard. I actually really love drawing pictures on this. Okay, so what we're going to do here, I'm going to draw a nice little box, and I'll make sure you can see that clearly. Okay, now what I believe, and look, you're going to take this and work with it and hopefully implement it for you. What I believe is that the strategy, the tactics, and the operations are all in this box like this. This is how I like to implement it. And so you got your strategy. Okay. And then you got your tactics. And then you got the operations. Okay. And why I draw it like this, okay, is because these lines in the middle can be a sliding scale, like one of those puzzles that you have to slide the blocks around to end up making the right pattern. Remember those? You've got this, slide this block over here, and these, whereas this only goes up and down. It goes up and down this way. Now, it doesn't go up and down evenly in my little model here that I'm doing. So what happens is you've got your strategy, so I'll just do this in green, okay? And then heading down here into tactics. So what if you need less strategy and more tactics? So then that line would go up, okay? So the strategy would stop there. And then you've got tactics, but then maybe you've got a lot of tactics and less operational. So then that line would also go down. Or what if it was the other way around? So what if it went up? And so you had a lot of operations that you needed to get done and less tactics. So you've actually stretched right up there into, as I call, a moving scale of goodness. So right in the middle here, see, you've got your tactics here. Okay. And I am going to go into my definitions of all of these things so that you understand what I'm actually talking about. So first of all, I'm going to start off with the strategy. Okay, strategy is, I have three things here. Strategy is where you are going. Okay, where you are going. Okay, kind of like a map in that sense that you want to go on a destination, you want to achieve something. You want to go somewhere, you want to say, okay, this is where we are going to go. And I am going to explain this in an example to show you, to help you understand what I'm talking about. Okay, so then you've got the second bit of the strategy is why you want to go there. Okay, and that is extremely important. Why you want to go there. there's no point in going, yeah, we want to go and achieve all these amazing things. And then I sit there and say, well, tell me why. And it's like, well, I don't know. So you got to have more than just making money, and you got to have more than just making a difference in the world, because that's lovely. Both of those things are absolutely great, because with money, you actually can, or you should be, making a difference in the world. But the why that drives you there when everything goes wrong, when you don't get the answer you want, it's the why that picks you back up and gets you out of bed and says, you know what, I'm not giving up. I'm not going to let somebody else run me down. I'm going to get back out there and I'm going to my destination. I'm actually going to get there. Okay, so that's why we need to know what you're doing there. And then, this is an interesting one. What are you willing to change to get there? Because if you were already there, you would be there, but you're not there. So what are you willing to change to get there? Because if you were already there, you wouldn't need to change a thing. Does that make sense? Because you're at your destination, your strategy has been achieved. Whereas if, as we sit here, I guess you're watching this and you're thinking about it and you're going, actually, of course my strategy is not achieved yet. I have a strategy, but I know that deep down inside, I guess I've got to do some things differently to get there, because otherwise you're just doing the same thing over and over again, and you're not going to get different results. You're going to get the same results. So that's when those are my three big questions when we're talking about strategy, okay? And to me, that's the end of the strategy. You basically know where you're going, you know why you want to get there, and what you're willing to change to get there. So what are we going to do differently? And the reason for that is because now, once you've done that, you get down into tactics, okay? And the tactics, and I know my lines don't match up here, but let's just pretend that this is the start of the tactics on the red, okay? The tactics are all about how to get there. Okay, now you can start to see the difference. It's actually so you know why you want to go there and you know where you're going. But now we're going to start talking about how to get there. Okay, this is the how moments. These are the tactics which say, okay, to do that, we need to implement blah, blah, blah. Maybe we need a new CRM system. Maybe we need to increase our sales by 50%. Maybe we need to employ 7 new people. Maybe we've just got a new project and that aligns with what we're doing. Maybe we need in-house education. Maybe we need to put everybody on a refresher course. You see, we're starting to talk about the hows of what we might need to do to make these changes. So you've already finished with this strategy up here. You're actually moving past your strategy into your tactics, which is how to get to where you're going to go. And the next thing is the how of achieving results. Okay, so it's not just about the doing, because remember, the doing isn't here yet. We're not even in operations. Operations is the doing. It's the how of achieving results. Okay, and of course, after the how of achieving results, like I said, you might have to do some implementations of different technology, you might have to do all sorts of things, but of course, the last how to measure the results. Okay, how do you know you're actually making a difference? How do you know you're getting there? How on this journey, you know where you're going, you know why you want to get there. You've already said, yep, we're going to change all of this stuff. Yep, we're going to invest into people. We're going to invest into money. We're going to build a new website. We're going to do all of these things because we're going to refresh our marketing. We're going to refresh our brand. We're going to rebrand our whole company. We're going to do all of these things, right? All of these things. How do you measure the results? So that's when you put your KPIs in there and you start saying, okay, to know whether these tactics are actually working, in 6 months' time, we might have insert X new customers, insert X new clients, might have sold X stuff. We might have increased our division by, 20%. We might have actually decreased. We might have changed business direction and we need to lay some people off. So you just have to be able to start looking at what these results are that you need to measure. So those are all tactics. It's all tactical solutions of implementing the strategy up here. Okay, so I hope that's all making sense to you. And I'm going to go to new blue color here. It's awesome. What we have here, of course, is now we get into the operations. Okay, the operations is the execution of those tactics. And that's the execution of the tactics, because the tactics don't bleed, or the operations don't bleed all the way up into strategy. And strategy doesn't come down into execution. It must, in my little model here, I'm hoping you understand, and I hope you sort of can see the point, is that you've heard about board members messing around in the operations, which is down here, the operations. And everyone complains about them, but this gives you a clear idea of what people actually mean when they say that. What they're saying is there's somebody here who's actually coming all the way down through here and meddling in what's going on and the day-to-day things, everything that you need to execute the operation. So in your tactics, you might have identified you need a new website. And so you're going to say, all right, implement the how of achieving the results. Is we definitely need to rebuild our website. We need a new app-like website using like Node.js or something like that. And so you're going to implement that, and you're going to measure it. And you're going to say, cool, it's a 6-month project. At some stage, you then go and sort out, you employ or contract the web developer. So as part of your operations, you don't go and get them here, because this is just your tactics of what you need to achieve it. You know that in 6 months, we need to rebuild this whole website into an app. Okay, that's not operations. Operations down here is, okay, in this example, your website build. Okay, and it might be a six-month project. And so as you're doing and implementing or executing that 6-month project, you're always checking back the results, and you're checking those results are matching your strategy, because you know where you're going, and you know that you want to be first to market with a new potential solution, right? So that's cool. So that might have been what you organized up here. So down here, you're now doing the work to get that to market. Okay, and down here, the operations people should be talking to the next layer up. In my model, it's a sliding scale. It doesn't all mold together, right? So these people talk to these people, and these people talk to these people. So this might be your board, and this is your C-suite. Okay, so they are the ones that are implementing the board's solution. So of course you've got a CEO or a CO or a CE, whatever that, there's so many ways to pronounce it nowadays. You've got an executive officer, you got a CEO. So right, then they are running the C-suite down here, and then these guys have someone in here, the operations, chief operations officer, okay, and they are going to oversee some of these things down here in the execution. Okay, so see how it all comes down. Okay, and so someone down here, if they say, hey, I've got a better way of doing this, I've got a really good idea, are they going to run up to the board and tell the board what to do and say, hey, you guys should have used a different blah, blah, blah? No, they need to come back up through the chain. So it sets up a clear chain of command. They come up through, either the CIO or somebody in charge of your infrastructure, or somebody who's the general manager even. So you got your GM somewhere in your place somewhere, often underneath. And then they can bring that, and then they can take that, and then they take that back to the board. And then the board goes, well, that's pretty good. That aligns with our strategy. It takes us where we're going. Aligns with our why. And yes, okay, one of the things we are willing to change for that question there is we are willing to change the solution that we think we should have implemented the first time round. So you see, it gives accountability, but it also gives flexibility, because you're not just locked in and going, well, that's the decision we made, and that's the stuff we're going to do, and just hurry up and make it happen. But they can feed that back down through these guys going, hey, where is the project up to? I need a report. And these guys can come down from the tactics, measuring the results, and come down to the execution and say, in our weekly stand-up or whatever it is that you have, some kind of feedback meeting, you can say, where is that website, as our example? Where is that up to? Is it on track? Is it going to deliver what we say? We said it was delivered, because we've told the board it'll meet our strategy. But you can see how they're all clearly defined, and then that's the reason why it makes a difference to know where you fit in this. Are you up here in strategy? Have you decided all of these questions? You've answered them. You've got the strategy, and so when it comes to your marketing plan, you've got these all sorted up here. What are you willing to change? You know where you're going to get there, okay? And then into your marketing plan, if you're a solo business or a business of 2 to 5, 10 people, in here, you're not going to have a C-suite. That's all kind of all on you. So are you in here taking your strategy hat off to work on your tactics? And so what I see often is people talk about a marketing plan, and it's, we're going to do this marketing plan, and it's, a 200-page document, and it's going to tell you all the things you need to go and do, and blah, 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 and which platforms to post on, and all those sort of things. That just sounds a little bit too much like execution and tactics to me. It's not a strategy plan, because it's not taking you and placing you in the marketplace of exactly where you want to be to the right people, or where you want to sell to. So knowing how to separate them off, in my opinion, is the best tool you can have when you are looking at your marketing and what you want to do to make your business grow. And then you can apply this to your sales as well. You'll have a sales team in there. Maybe it's still you, but when you're moving through, you're looking at the sales from a strategy, and then you're looking at the sales tactics that you're going to use. Maybe you're going to go call center. You're going to outbound call center, ring people, ring people, ring people. Cool, great. If that's your tactics, if that's what you decide to do, that's not a strategy, that's a tactic. Strategy is you want to get more people from cold calls. There's your strategy. Your tactics is you're going to use a call center, and then down here you implement the call center, and you go, okay, cool, how many calls are we doing a day, and what's our close rate, and all those sort of things. And then you make sure that you are measuring them. So you've already set out how you're going to measure them with your KPIs, and then you actually do the measuring of those marketing and sales initiatives. So you can apply this to anything in your business. Anywhere in there you can have a financial strategy, and then you can have financial tactics of what you're going to do with it, and then obviously you've got the operations of the day-to-day financial dealings that you're dealing with. Obviously sales falls into it. Customer journey falls into it. You can have a strategy of the customers that you want and what you're going to do about getting them. You're going to get down into your tactics, which says to get those customers, we are going to go do this and this and this and this. Right. So that's not a strategy, that's tactics. So strategy is the overarching, we want to grow our customer base by blah, and then we want those customers to be lifetime value of insert X dollar number here. And once you do that, then you go down and go, right, how are we going to get them? So remember, down in the tactics, it's all about the how. How are we going to get them? How are we going to achieve the results? And how are we going to measure those results? And then down in the execution, you run your campaigns, you run everything you need to do in the execution stage and your operational part of this journey. So I hope that's making sense to you. And I'm just going to give you an example. And I'm just going to swap the old whiteboard, if I can get it the right way around. Yeah, somewhere there's the bottom of it there. Okay. Right, now let me tell you a story. When I was 17 and a half, because you had to be 17 and a half, I joined the Territorials. A bunch of us mates did, it was 4 of us, I think. We all went, yeah, why not? Why not? Didn't know what else to do, finished school, why not? So we did, and we all thoroughly enjoyed it. It was quite a crazy kind of time. And we all went off to boot camp together. I think it was 8 and a bit weeks in Wairuru, so we went there. I think it was around September, so we would have finished, later on, almost at the end of the year. The weather is as bad as you have been told in Wairuru. We had 4 seasons in one day, multiple times. It would have been hot, burning sun. Then you've got the wind whipping through, and then you've got balmy niceness, and it's just lovely. And then snow, freezing, bitter snow, all in one day, and we're out there. So we were infantry. So let's call it the grunts, because we stick our pack on our back and grab our rifle. strap on our boots, and we grunt our way to wherever we're going. We don't get carted around very well. We weren't allowed to be carted around. We had to walk everywhere. It was awesome. So, okay. How I'm going to explain this. First of all, we're going to talk about the top brass. We're going to talk about your generals and colonels. Okay. Colonels, I love that. Colonels. Right. So they're going to make the decision on the strategy, okay? And the strategy, the decision they're going to make is we have a hill there, okay? And then a valley. And the enemy, we think, is coming from here up the valley. Okay. So the strategy we're going to do is we're going to put a gun on that hill right there that overlooks the valley. That's going to stop anyone getting close because we can see them and potentially defend ourselves. Cool. Okay. That's great. That is a river. I'm serious. That's a river. Okay? So the strategy is we need to take that hill. We need to put a gun up there. We need to overcome the obstacles, get through the river, and secure that whole place so that we have superiority. Okay? Now, that's the end of the strategy. We've decided that hill for those reasons and on that date. Okay? So it's going to be the date. It's going to happen. Let's make it happen. What happens next is next down you've got the majors and others down below. Okay, and they are now going to take care of the tactics, and you might even have the lieutenants in there too, whereas they are normally officer over the first officer over the men. So we're going to probably leave them out of that, but you've got some majors and some other people in there that are going to make the decisions about the tactics. So what they're going to do is they're going to draw up a plan, and they're going to say we're going to take 3 divisions of men. So 1, 2, 3, okay, and then on that date we're going to have to get them across the river with a bridge, right? So we need 1 because these guys are going in a different direction. Okay, so we need 3 armored bridges or bridges that'll come out of a tank basically, or out of a back of a truck and go boom across the river. Okay, going excellent. So notice so far at the moment we're still hidden from the valley. They can't see us coming, so we're being smart about this. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take 1 division, we're going to run them over here and set them up around here, because then we can cover what's going on whilst this operation is happening. Okay, so these are your tactics. Okay, and then these guys are going to head over here on this side, and they're going to go up the hill that way, and then these guys are going to go around there and go up the hill the other way, because if these guys get caught and don't make it, we've got another plan over here. See how I'm making tactics out of everything? So you've got the generals going, right, take that hill, go on, we're going to put there, we're going to send there, and we're going to send an air support and everything we need. That's the plane there, and there's your air support, and then we're going to circle round. Right, and then these guys go, right, you guys, we're going to do this and this and this and this. We're going to take the river, we're going to send you up there, we're going to put you there, we're going to run up the hill, right? And we're going to run up the hill, and you're going to have 2 guns, right? Because you've got to have 1 for these guys, 1 for these guys. And then, so you've got to have 3 bridges. You see how that's your tactics of making that happen. Okay, now when it comes to the operations, then you get down into, down below, you've got your corporals and your sergeants, and they are in charge of the men. They're non-commissioned officers. So NCO. So these guys are commissioned officers, right? And so they have gone through officer training school, and they've got their pips on their shoulders and all sorts of things. And these guys have all got their stripes. So, okay, so that's where that comes from, your stripes on your arm. So the non-commissioned officers are basically they bunk in, well, they not bunk in the same thing, but they are in the series here. They are part of the troops. Okay, down here with the men or women who are serving. So they're going to go, right, you lot, get out of bed, let's go. So on the date, at the time, it should be 0800 or something, 0600. There you go. Boom. Let's do it. So here we go. We drive the trucks in, they dump there. So the operations are the execution of the strategy of the tactics. So it always works like that. So these guys, they drive up there, they dump the bridges in, they get there, and then everyone runs across them, and then they all run, and they deploy over here, and then they go up, right, get up that hill. And so they run up the hill, and these guys run around the other side, go around the other side, and here comes the plane, woo! And so they're running around making sure that the enemy is not coming up here to get them, and then they set up. These guys got there first, so they put the first one up, and they've got the gun up the top of the hill. So there's your execution of the strategy using the tactics. So does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Okay, so the execution, okay, of the strategy using the tactics. Brilliant. Okay, so there, when you take it back, remember to here. Okay, you've got my sliding scale. So just as a roundup, we've got sliding scale, the strategy at the top, which then slides into your tactics there. Okay, and underneath there, operations. So if you're a strategy person, there's no point in putting you in operations. If you're an operation person, the last place you should be is in strategy. And knowing that about yourself is probably a good thing to do as well. Take a test and do some research and education around where you feel you fit in here. And someone in the middle in tactics often can see a bit of strategy or quite a lot of strategy, and they can also understand their operations. But in there, they're really good at saying, I know how to do that. I know what we should do. We should do this and this and this and this based on the outcome of the strategy. We can achieve this if I have the right resources. So in operations, right there is another thing to put. It is resources. Okay, whether that's budget or people, doesn't matter. They're kind of the same thing. People cost money. So you got budget and people, budget to execute the tactics of the strategy, and also the people to do it. So there's always two things in your business, which are the most important things, which is your financial side of your business and your people side of your business, and putting them together is extremely important, because that's where you get a strong foundation in your business. So there's the reasons why, and remember the questions you're going to ask if you just tuned in is, in the strategy, where are you going? Why do you want to go there? And what are you willing to change to get there? Because if you were already there, you would be there. So you're not there yet. So what you're doing hasn't achieved the results. So let's do something different. So if you want to find out how to do something different in your marketing and sales, you can come and talk to me. I'm Pete Ward from Pete Ward TV. My email is pete@PeteWardTV. My website is peteward.tv. So that's your strategy. And then, of course, you got your tactics, which is all about what you're going to do to achieve the results, and then how to measure the results. Okay, so you're setting up all of the how you're going to get to the destination, all of the ways of making it actually work. And then your execution is your operations, which is you get on and actually do the work, do the mahi, make it all happen, bring it all together. And then, of course, you have, just as a recap, my strategy of example, which is you've got your generals making the decision of heading up this hill, putting a gun on it to protect the valley. Then you've got the next crowd down, which are all your majors in the next level down there. They are the commissioned officers. They are going to work on the tactics. And then down here, you've got your non-commissioned officers and your troops, your grunts, the actual people going to do the execution, and then they run here and do the actual plan, and they get there and woohoo, we got the gun on and we survived. So that is how the operations work, that is how the tactics work, and that's how the strategy work in my model. I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you've got something out of that. I hope you can take it away and go, okay, and think about it and go, hey, what is it? What am I doing? Am I mucking around thinking I've got strategy, whereas I'm really focused on how I can do this, or what website I should use? What, should I use WordPress or whatever? That's tactics and operation. Strategy is more around the decisions that we're going to refresh our website so that we can attract more customers. So marketing and sales coming together, that's where I fit. If you want to find out more, you can always contact me somewhere around this whole video. You'll be able to see how to get in touch with me. So yeah, thank you for watching. I'm Pete Ward. I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you've enjoyed my little chat about strategy, tactics, and operation, and how they are all different and how you can employ them or get them working for you to bring you to success. So, all right, thank you for watching, and peace out.